talk about segments and arrays. We're going to talk about segment addition one more time. I want to do one more algebra problem with segment addition. In case you didn't quite like the ones I did yesterday, we'll make up a new one. We're going to do measurements today because I think we finished yesterday with like you had to draw a couple lines. We're going to measure with a ruler. We're going to do that today. We're going to jump right into doing that. We're going to talk about two different methods, customary system versus metric. And then the last thing we're going to finish with is what we call a construction in geometry. There's like, 12, I think. There's 12 different constructions that we do. We don't see all of them. We'll see more or less the first 7 or 8 of them for sure, bless you, throughout the day, or throughout the year, I should say, throughout the year. So we pick them up every section or two. Constructions are these things that we use to help you draw pictures in from your like textbook to your notebook, or into your homework. It has to be a very detailed drawing. It's a way to like draw things super accurately using basic tools. So the goal today is to intro the first one, is to introduce the tool in the first place for constructions, and then the first drawing, which is one of the easiest drawings you'll ever see. Probably once you see it, it's silly that we have to cover it, but it's nice to get that nice easy one first, so then when we get those layer ones, you can at least know how to hold and use the tools. So that's what we're going to be covering today. It's pretty easy once we're done today, because this is going to go pretty quick. I think we'll probably spend the most time here today. Once we're done with that, you are getting a new assignment today. And more you are getting a new homework assignment. It is due on Tuesday. And you're like, whoa, Tuesday? Yeah, it's like 4 days away. Okay. Tuesday, that's the first day you're back. It's the first day you're back, because on Monday you don't have school. So be cautious of that. We're going to have a short turnaround on an assignment. But you have a couple days to work on it. Okay. And you should have plenty of time in class. I'm going to try to give you time in class today to actually work, which is kind of a rarity anymore. But let's talk about segment addition. Let's jump right in. Hopefully this makes sense to you. So we're going to find the value of the variable. Find the value for the variable. And AB if B lies in between A and C. Okay, there's the first part. Here's what you get. AB is 2x plus 1. AC is a 4x plus 9, and BC is a x plus 7. Let's see, is it right? No, we need a 3. Okay, let's write that down. This is my one problem we're going to intro today. If you're already starting to solve, perfect. You're writing the whole problem down, okay, it's good, fine. So one problem I want to make sure we know. Pretend you guys are doing that. And if you don't know how, that's fine. I will go through it here in a second, so hopefully that'll help you fill in some gaps in case you're stuck. Alright, I know a lot of you are still writing. You're probably still writing another problem at least. What does the picture have to look like though?
Line.
Line, okay. Then what else?
3 points.
3 points, okay. There's my line, 3 points. Now,
And the A on the first one be like C on the last one.
boom, okay. It's important that you know that, right? B had to be somewhere in between. It didn't matter where, I don't care where you put B. It doesn't have to be perfect center, it didn't say that. We'll talk about that word later. How you know if it's telling you if it's at the like perfect center of it. But now, once you have the drawing, because I do want you to draw it, don't be afraid, like on the homework today, if you have a couple of these, draw it. Draw it like what we have here, because it tells you how to draw B lies in between A and C on the number line. I think it says like on the line segment. Label the picture, then solve it. Now labeling, you have to take what they give you and put them on the right stick. So like AB stick, that's the top one, 2x plus 1, that goes here, A to B. So this is 2x plus 1. BC, that's the one at the bottom, that's this stick, BC, that's the 3x plus 7. And the whole thing is a, what, 4x plus 9? Then we're supposed to solve. Okay, makes sense? Now that you can see the setup, it's pretty straightforward. They're pretty much always the same every time you get them. Just be cautious because they're not going to put them in order. So you got to draw the picture so you know which one's the label. Now, when we're setting a high algebra problem, what's the equation, the formula I'm going to have? Can somebody give me, please?
2x plus 1 plus 3x plus 7 equals 4x plus 9.
Perfect. Now, the reason why this works, it's part of segment addition. You can always add the two small sticks together, and that will always equal the large stick, as long as it's a straight line. We'll talk about that more at a later time. But if you add the two small pieces together, that should equal the large stick, which is the 4x. Okay, now you just have to solve. Now I'm going to go through this pretty quick. Apologies, I just want to make sure you guys get to see this. So next step, I'm going to add up like terms. So 3x and 2x makes 5x's. 1 and 7 make 8. So I'm combining like terms. Things that have x's I add together, numbers I add. No. The other side, there's nothing really I can do over here. And no, you cannot add 4x and 9 because 9 doesn't have an x on it, so you're not allowed to add it. And then what I do is I just move things around. So I would subtract the 4x over. If I bring it across the equal sign, it goes the opposite. So I'm going to subtract it, subtract the 8. So 5x minus 4x, and the 9 minus the 8. And yeah, I always put them in the back. Right? Move them. So then when we solve, we get 1x, which is just x, by the way. 1x is just an x. It's the same thing. You can always put a 1 out front. It's equal to 1. So your x is 1. So you found the variable. Perfect. Are we done? No. Not done, because you read the instructions, you had to find the variable, done, right? We have that. But second part, AB. It wasn't just find the value of the variable, we had to also find AB, find the value of the variable and this stick. That's this one, this little piece. So the trick is, I don't care where you do it, somewhere in your paper, you need to take your x that you just found and plug it back in to the AB stick. Well, that's this stick right here. So I'm going to plug the 1 in. So 2x plus 1, I need to plug the 1 in here. Because that's the variable I just found. So that's 2, 2 times 1 is 2. And I get 3. So there's your AB stick. That's the length of it. It's 3 in length. Now if they want you to find the other pieces, fine, plug the 1 back in all of them. Questions with the basic algebra that's involved? Okay. I think it's straightforward. You just need to see it because it's not algebra 1 anymore, right? We're out of that mode where they just give you a problem like this in your book and you solve it. We're not doing that. You have to actually set the problem up yourself by drawing it, labeling it, figuring it out. All the stuff. That can be daunting because it's such a radical change from algebra 1. You're going to have to do a lot of interpreting yourself. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to the measurement stuff now. Okay, yesterday, we had to draw lines in your paper. So if you had those lines from yesterday, that's fine. If you don't, we're going to draw new lines today. So I'm going to give you a ruler here. These are brand new, don't draw them or anything like that. back, in the back. This will be easier. One more. Okay, perfect. Okay. I had enough. Okay. So if you haven't already, draw 2 sticks on your paper, different lengths. I don't want them to be the exact same, so draw different lengths. You don't need to measure or anything like that. Just draw two lines. We labeled them differently yesterday. I think one of them was like MN, and what was the other one?
PQ.
PQ. Okay. So let me draw those on the marker board here, just so we can stay with that same thing yesterday, because I don't want to go away from it. So if you already have them, perfect. We'll use the 2 you had drawn yesterday. Okay, the goal today is to measure, right? To measure the distance. Now, I want to use inches first. We talked about yesterday the concept of how, the Us Customary System, that's what it's called, where we use inches and feet and miles. The Us Customary System is to use inches. It's not super accurate. There's a lot of wiggle room with inches because of the gaps that are involved. So if you have a ruler, just note that the ruler doesn't start at 0. Right? It's indented. The reason why they indent it is that it's a wood ruler, right? It's going to chip, it's going to peel. You will eventually be missing pieces on the end. At least you still have a full ruler, or it's still 1 foot long. So they did give you a little playroom. They know it's going to chip. Now, when you start going and you find the 1-inch marker, there's markers in between. There should be 16 on yours. Now, I have an architectural one, because in college I had to go through an architectural class. Those go up to 30 seconds. So there's like really small hash marks, you can kind of see them. Super tiny, super accurate. Okay. Most rulers don't, they just go to 16s like you have, so you didn't see it. It goes to 30 seconds. I mean, it's crazy small when you first sort of see it. Now, the markers we talked about yesterday, this big marker in the middle, that's the half, because again, it's 1 out of the 2 big markers. Then you have the 1/4 marker, which is the next big stick, and 3/4, because that's 1 out of 4, out of the 4 big marks. 2 out of 4, 2 out of 4 is the same as half, because you can divide them both by 2. 3 out of 4, and this is 4 out of 4, so it simplifies to be 1. Then every time you go down, the bottom number just grows to be a bigger even number, so 8, right? So 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, 7/8. The top numbers are always odds, the bottom numbers are always even. That's just how I always think of it. Okay, questions on the US Customary System. What I'd like you to do is wherever your line's at, so this is MN, say MN is this long for me. I want you to go figure out how long it is. So measure it. So line up 0 with one of the dots, figure out what spot you're at. So maybe I'm right here. So this was 1/16. This is 1/8. This is what, 3/16 for me? So mine is, 1 and 3/16. Now it might be in the middle. It's fine. Just pick one. As long as you're close. As long as you're past like the major inch markers, you're at least at 1 or 2 or 3, and then you can figure out what the fraction is that goes behind it. And then you label it inches. I want to see that number. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to double check that your answer. Once you have your number, raise your hand. I want to check it. Okay? Half perfectly. And then you're a little ways off. Half's over here. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Okay. Half an inch. Yeah, dead on. Okay. Anyone else? Perfect. And then 4 inches almost perfectly. Oh, that's nice. Still working. 2 of 16. This would be 16. Half, perfectly. It's past half. Half is right there. So, next week. That's 1 3/4. Yeah, I agree. Wait. Was 1 3/4. Yeah, I'll go with that. Thanks. Okay. Let's see how it works. 1/4. Yeah, I'll do that. As close as you can get. 1/8. quarters, yeah, you get 3/4. 1 inch perfectly? How do you manage that? Get exactly 1 inch. 15/16. 2 15/16. Yeah, I agree. Right at the end there. All right, anyone else I didn't check? Perfect, okay, you guys get the system, didn't mount any of yours? Okay, we double check 13/16. So, and then 1 and 13/16, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's close, as close as you can get, yeah, I agree with that. Okay, good, so we're all on the same page. At least the customary system went well for you. All right, again, just count, it's not, don't be afraid to figure out where the big sticks are and then the next one's 8ths and 16ths, and always count by odds. There's a safe way to do this as well. You can always count everything by 16ths. That's one way some people do it, where they're like, okay, this is the first out of 16th marker, this is the second out of 16, third out of 16, and you just count each marker as you go, if that makes sense to you, as you're like measuring an object. And once you land to a marker, let's say I land to this one, you know, you're at the second out of 16 little hash marks to get up to your next inch. You can simplify 2/16 down later. Maybe that's the way you want to do it, because you can divide both by 2 and get that it's the 1/8 marker. Maybe that's the way you want to do your problem. If you're that person's like, I don't really know the markers very well, just count by 16ths, 1/16, 2/16, 3/16, 4/16, and just count up. You just have to know how many markers it is. Now, there is this goofy problem in your textbook that will do something like this. Okay, it's got this picture of a fish. Yeah, there's a fish in your book. It's terrible. Here's your fish. Okay, here's your fish. And you're measuring the fish. And this is what they do. They actually have the ruler drawn for you, like underneath the object. What's goofy about that ruler?
The zero's not fully at the end.
Zero's not fully at the end, okay. They'll try to do the best they can. Sorry about my artistic talent, I agree with that though. What else? What's goofy about the markers?
It's not even lined up.
Yeah, they're not perfectly lined up. It's kind of in the middle, but there's not 16.
11.
Yeah, there's like 10 or 11 or something like that, or whatever it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 marks. It's not even like 16, right? It's 10. If they do something like that to you, and there is one in your book, whatever mark you land on, I'm almost at the 8 or 9 marker. And let's say this is like, let's say the ruler keeps going this way. This is like let's say this is the 3, and this is the 4 over here for the markers. Okay, so I'm at least past 3 inches, because they actually say it's in inches. Okay, so wherever the fish goes, okay, the fish is that way further too. Whatever it is, I'm at 3 inches, and if they're not going by 16ths, just count. I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say it's 8 or 9. Let's say it's 9. I'm at 9 out of the 10 markers, because there's 10 markers to get to the next inch. Does that make sense? What you can do? That's super weird. I don't know why the book chose to do that. You can just count how many markers there are and just tell me what marker you landed at. Because again, it should be, you count it up, so you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then this would be the 10 markers, so I'm at 9 out of the 10 markers to get to the next inch. So that type of thing. Just don't be thrown off by that. There's one, I don't like it. Now, I think the reason why they did that is because if you flip your ruler over, there is the, or I guess not flip it over, but turn it around, I should say, that there is the metric system on the other side. The metric system is actually more accurate. 95% of the planet uses the metric system. It's just more accurate. It's easier than the US customary system with its stupid 16ths and 8ths and stuff. That the metric system, because it's on the same ruler, the markers are closer together, and there's always 10 until you get to the next marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and there's your 1 inch. There's always 10 marks to get up to the next one. So whatever your object is, maybe you're measuring a starfish. Here you go. Here's Patrick. Okay? Whatever thing you're measuring. Let's say I'm here. Is that 5? That's my 5th marker. you're at 5 millimeters. I didn't even get to a perfect centimeter yet. Centimeters are the big markers. So I'm at 5 millimeters. You can also write it as decimals, so whatever hash mark you get. So let's say my ruler went further this way, and Patrick's way bigger than this. So this was like 3, this was 4 centimeters. I'm past the number 3, so you're at 3.5 centimeters. Because I'm past the big 3, and I just count what hash mark I'm at, and that's the decimal you put after it. That's how the metric system works. Whatever number you landed after the major markers, that's the decimal that goes after. So if you're at the 6 marker, it's 0.6. It's the easiest thing in the world. I don't know why we would choose to do the customary system, because you could write it like this: 3 centimeters and 5 millimeters. You could write it that way too. These mean the same thing to me. It's more accurate. You can see it right in front of you that the metric system, the hash marks are closer together. They are. And you can go past millimeters. You can go past, there is actual nanometers, and you can go further and further. I don't know why we choose the customary system. It's just to differentiate ourselves from people like that. Good. Questions on measurements. Now I know you have a second stick. So here's my question. You have an MN and a PQ. Were the 2 sticks that you have drawn the same size? They're not, right? They are not congruent. Okay, my goal today, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ruler back from you. I know this seems weird. Take the ruler back. I know this is going to be a little weird here, but I'm going to explain. Okay. Now let's assume, I know this is dangerous, but I'm going to assume that no one in this room has a ruler on them, in their notebook or anything like that. I'm just going to assume that. If you do, let's assume that you don't. Just play with me here, okay? All right, so here's the deal. What if I asked you to make a perfect copy of the line PQ? Make a perfect copy of it somewhere else on that same page you had drawn it. You can't like go to a different page and like put it on top and trace it and do that whole thing. How would you do it? Other than like freehand drawing it right below it. I'm saying that if you had PQ drawn over here, because I didn't tell you how to draw, you just drew PQ. What if I asked you to put it over here? Like way far away. And you had no ruler to do it. How many people could figure it out? Okay, please, so explain.
Measure it with something else.
Measure with something else. I agree with that. That's a perfect way. You don't have to have a ruler to measure an object. You can use anything in your tool, your arsenal, right? I can use a shoestring to measure something. Just anything. You can use this pencil, okay? There's a tool we use that's more accurate than this. I'm going to use it for architecture. Okay, it's called a compass. This is a compass. Okay. I'm just spinning the gear in the middle, the cog in the middle. That opens it up. You don't turn the outside, the T-bar, you don't turn that. That's just to hold it from falling apart and breaking. You just turn the T intersection, it closes it and opens it. Okay. There's gears at the bottom that holds the pencil, the lead, the graphite, and it holds the pike. Yeah, that pike is super sharp. You'll give yourself a tetanus pretty bad on that, so don't poke yourself or poke somebody else with it. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to use this tool to copy it. So I'm going to hand these out. If you're missing lead, let me know. Don't drop this thing. If you drop it, it breaks. It's expensive. Don't drop it. Don't break my lead. Okay? In the bag, there's a plastic little piece, and you're like, Warren, what is this thing? That is going to be our straight edge for how we draw the straight line. Okay? It is not a ruler. There is no markings on it. In fact, it's cut up pieces of zip ties, really, really thick zip ties that I had at home for automotive and stuff. So it's just used to draw straight lines, and it's super straight. It's very accurate because I don't want you to measure anything with it. Okay, we're good? Okay, I'm going to hand these out. Eventually, I'm going to ask you to take these, I'm going to ask for them back. So So I think I have enough for everybody in this room, but if you're missing lead, let me know. I'm going to show you, this is the first day introducing you to our construction tools. These are pretty fun, we'll get to like them a lot. All right. So you have a compass in front of you. That is a mathematical compass, a geometrical compass. And you have a straight edge, so you need both on your desk. Is anyone missing lead in theirs? Because I'll just replace it with one of the other ones. Okay, good. The lead does not have to be sharp. It can be dull. Refrain from just drawing circles. I know everyone wants to put on their paper and just draw this sweet circle. That's not the purpose of it. I know you're like, Warren, I can draw circles with this. Yes, I know you can. The whole purpose is not to draw a circle. It's to draw other things with it, which is insane. So betting on you've been taught wrong for what this thing is purpose is for. Okay, so somewhere in your paper you have PQ, correct? I don't know how long it was. What I need you to do, this is constructions and how we're going to do it. We're going to learn the first construction we're going to do is to make a perfect congruent segment. This is construction number 1 out of the many we're going to learn throughout this year. We're going to copy your segment to a different spot on your paper that is not just right below it. It can be anywhere in the world. Okay, here's what I need to do. Take your straight edge, not your compass, take your straight edge, the flat black piece. Go to somewhere else in your paper. So your line's like right here, let's say, that's PQ. Here's PQ. And you need to go somewhere else in your paper, go far away from it, that's fine. Take your straight edge, I'm going to take my ruler here. You have a straight edge. And draw a segment. Now, when I ask you to draw a segment, it needs to be clearly, like very, very clearly longer than the original one, PQ. Has to be longer, visually, like eyeball it. So mine doesn't look like it's longer, I'm going to make it longer. I'm going to put my ruler back, make sure I extend it just a little bit further. I want to make sure that it is longer. You agree that that is clearly longer than my other one? Okay. On one of the ends, put an R. One of the ends, just one, put an R there. That's my end point. Okay, take your compass. You're going to open up the compass. Back when we go grab my compass, it's going to seem silly. I got a plastic compass I can use. Where is that? Oh, look at this thing, it's sweet. Alright. So I got my compass, right? You're going to open up your compass. You're going to put the pike, the pointy end, the one that will give you tetanus. You're going to put that on P, and you're going to put the pencil or the lead on point Q. So pike, the pokey end on P, pencil on Q, so it lines up perfectly. Like such. And yeah, when you open it and close it, you just use a little gear in the middle. So it lines up perfect, as best you can. That looks good to me. Pick it up. Don't change the compass. You're going to leave the compass alone. Go over to your new drawing. Put the pike on letter R. And down the road, make a little mark. Now, the mark does not have to be dark. Okay, I have a marker board. I can't make it really soft. So the pike's on letter R. You're going to make a mark down the road, a little T. It has to be light. If your neighbor next to you can see that mark you just made, way too dark. It's light, really light. Like, if you can see mine, it's kind of soft. Like a light mark. The reason why, you're not using that much lead, and if you push too hard on your compass, what happens to the compass if you push? It opens up, and now your line's a different size. So it's going to be really light when you make that mark. Now, once you have that little T intersection, take your normal pencil, the pencil you have or pen or whatever you're writing with today, put a dot there and let's put an S sitting there. This stick, RS, is equal to the other one. So PQ now is perfectly congruent to RS. They're perfectly congruent, they're the exact same size without using a ruler to measure it. I know they are. This tool is more accurate than a stupid ruler. It is more accurate, it's perfectly accurate. Because a ruler, you guys experienced this already. You're trying to measure how long a stick is. You're in between hash marks. You're not quite sure which hash mark it was. You lost track of it. This thing doesn't forget. It knows exactly the size. You measured it perfectly. And when you moved it, it didn't change. It stayed the same size. It's more accurate than a ruler. It doesn't allow for human error unless you push too hard. And that's the only error you can make. So it's insanely accurate. So once you have that, I know you don't need the excess tail. That's on the end of RS. You don't need to erase it. What we do in here is because it's fine to go further, we just scribble it out. That's all we do. We scribble it out because we don't need the excess tail. It's nice to leave there. Now, did it matter where you put RS? I told you to put far away. Just throw it as far away from PQ as you want. Why you never do this? If you're in construction, maybe you want to be in architecture, okay, you want to be drawing the blueprints for something, designing something, maybe you're in drafting. It's nice that you can make a wall in a different room the same size. You can attach that wall to this one if you wanted to. I could have drawn the line going off of point Q and then measured it, so now my two walls are exactly the same size. You can start to see like the possibilities of the type of constructions you can do now by just using this stupid little tool. But you don't have to use this. You use any object. We even said it earlier, right? You can use any object. Use something else to measure it. It could be a shoestring. The shoestrings, you can hold it, figure out the length of it, and then go to the new drawing and make a mark. Just tie it around your pencil. Okay, just take the shoestring and wrap it around it. And that's your compass, because it's not going to move. You're going to keep it the exact same size. It's pretty sweet how it works. Okay, questions at all about constructions? Okay, I would like you to put your straight edge and that compass back in the bag, make it fit, don't drop it. I'm gonna walk around and collect. I'm gonna put your homework up on the board. Homework for you guys is due on Tuesday. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna put it up here so you can see it. I'll put it in black so there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, what it is. Okay, page 18, numbers 1 through 8, 10 through 18, 22 through 25. That's due on Tuesday. You do not have classes Monday, right? There's no school Monday. That means you better take your book home because it's due when you walk in the door Tuesday morning. It is Friday, you don't have to. So keep that in mind. You do not live on, like, Lord, I tried to take my book home. Yeah, you also just got to zero on that assignment until you get it done. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna walk around and collect my little compasses and straight edges. They're pretty sweet. We're gonna do more with this. This is the first day. I know it's silly, it's a stupid little construction, but it's nice to see the first one. Wheeler, good time, man. We just got the homework. So, I'll post that video later tonight, you can watch. We just did some drawing.
Okay.
It's not important for the actual one today. Oh, perfect. Good, I get them all. Homework's due today. Make sure if you have not turned that in, you get it in right now because I'm about to put it in the basket if you have not turned in today's assignment.